2 days post-confetti falling, and from the looks of things in Boston, the excitement hasn't dwindled a single bit.
Damn.
Everything you need to know about the Patriots' 6th parade in 17 years coming up here on NFL Total Access. With Scott Hansen, I'm Lindsay Rhodes.
Yeah, just another Duck Boat Tuesday here at NFL Network. If you are a 17-year-old Boston sports fan, you have witnessed 12 championship parades in your 17-year existence. 6 of those, as Lindsay just mentioned, courtesy of these guys, the NFL's dynasty. The New England Patriots with their citywide celebration today. They say about 1 million people came out. Amazing weather, unseasonably warm and sunny. Temperatures in the 60s today in Boston. Our Mike Giardi and James Palmer were there.
Well, Mike, back in 2017, we were both out here in freezing rain for a Patriots parade. Today, mid-50s, and the crowd showed the weather. They estimated over 1 million people. We didn't see a speck of concrete as the crowd went 40, 50, 60 deep, and they chanted, "We want 7." Doesn't seem like they're satisfied with 6, as owner Robert Kraft went by us right here. He pointed the Lombardi Trophy at us and said, "Let's go, let's go." It's not a sense of we accomplished something. This is just a step towards the next one.
Of course, though, this is the emotion of a couple of days after, and you're still sort of bathing in that Super Bowl win. But now you got to start thinking about business, and you know Belichick and Casario and those guys already are. We saw Rob Gronkowski go by. He said it's going to take a couple of weeks before he decides whether to continue on. Trey Flowers, pending free agent. They could franchise tag him, going to get a lot of money in the open market. And then the McCourty brothers went by, and Jason probably at the end. Devin sort of teased us on opening night about whether he'd play or not. I said, you can't retire, as he was going by, and he said, my wife won't let me. Take that for what it's worth.
Big decisions ahead there, and on the other end of the emotional spectrum, we've got the Rams dealing with similar questions in a very dissimilar environment, cleaning out their lockers today in Thousand Oaks and working through the disappointment of Sunday's loss.
I think, if anything, when you look at people like we've talked about that are successful in life, it's people that have the ability to overcome adversity. And if you can't handle getting gut punched and responding, this business probably isn't for you. And that's the only way that I know how to respond as a coach. I know our coaching staff feels that way. I know our players feel that way, and that's what's powerful.
Any other insight you can lend as to why Todd Gurley's production was down in the final 2 games?
Well, in reality, when you really look at it, we had gone in knowing that we wanted to be able to kind of almost have a shared load between he and CJ. So the amount of attempts that we had just rushing the ball in the last couple games was a little bit different. And specific to the game the other night, Todd gets into a little bit of a rhythm, or it seemed like when we'd have a good positive run, then something would inevitably occur to set us back. And then when you're not efficient on third downs, we just didn't get a lot of attempts off.
The part that makes me the most sick about it is that our defense played so well, and you say, you're going to be in the Super Bowl and your defense is going to hold the New England Patriots to 13 points and you guys aren't going to win. It's like, how? And that's the part that you kind of keep replaying in your mind, is how that can even happen.
It's a grieving process, David Carr, and I bet that Maurice Jones-Drew is going through it to a degree. A member of the Rams broadcast team. He's around the team all of the time. What happened?
A lot of things happened in that game. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Rams organization, because I'd never made it to a Super Bowl, so that was fun, just being there and being involved with the players. But when I went back and looked at the teams that defeated the Patriots, they were all aggressive, and that's where the Rams weren't. In certain situations, you have to be aggressive, and you have to take chances, and hopefully they work out for you. There was a play. We have an XL. It's 4th and 3 here. And I'm not a quarterback guy, but regardless of this situation, I was going to go for it if we didn't get it. Now, Jared Goff is looking at Brandon Cooks, and he may think the corner is going to slough off and take the flat, but he doesn't. They get bundled up. He's wide open. He tries to throw it to Robert Woods. But guess what? It's 4th and 3 at your own 41. Go for it instead of trying to punt the ball in this situation. Find another play to try to get your team going, because you never know. You may not ever be back in this situation, which it was hard to get across that 50 because that Patriots defense was playing so well. So, when you look at last year's Super Bowl, the way the Eagles were aggressive and how they went after things, and they were taking shots downfield, and they were doing different things and running trick plays, you kind of have to get in that mode in the Super Bowl to try to defeat a team that has 2 weeks to look at what you're doing.
Yeah, there were a couple situations where if they had like 3rd and 2s also, where they ended up taking big sacks, and then Sean McVay, he probably would have, or at least he would have hoped that he would have gone for it in those situations, but he was kind of, the situation took him out of it. It's kind of
Well, there was a 3rd and 22 where it was like go downfield and they handed it off to Todd Gurley for a gain of 1 or something.
I understand why he did that, because in that situation you don't want to make it any worse than what it is, right? You want to kind of limit your exposure.
That was late in the game
away.
And they needed points. I think it couldn't have gotten any worse. They needed points.
Well, if you would have tried to throw the ball, sack, fumble, it would have been much worse, right? So you have to kind of play the game within the game, and I understand that scenario. But when you're in those 3rd and shorts, you got to find a way to get those first downs, and it just seems like they couldn't get anything going on Sunday.
Is Gurley hurt?
I've talked to multiple people that said Gurley's not hurt. I spoke with him after the Saints game. He said he was completely fine. I just felt like going into that game, they felt like their receivers were better than their DBs. They wanted to attack them down the field. Now, attacking down the field, they had some good things going, and he had some great runs in this game. Hopefully they show one where he breaks the long one. He had 2 long ones. One guy called back for holding, and so it just happened. Like, this was not Gurley. I don't think Gurley was hurt. I don't think anything. The Patriots played really good defense at the end of the day. I feel like it had nothing to do with what the Rams were doing.
Took away what they wanted to do with Gurley. They took away what they wanted to do with Goff. 3 for 10 on 3rd down. It's hard to win a game if you can't keep the chains moving.
Yeah, it was difficult, and you heard Sean McVay mention that. Is like we didn't get enough opportunities. Like he had only 10 carries, but we were off the field. Like Edelman on the other side was picking up first downs consistently on 3rd down, and you can see it. There were times where he was just confused. They were giving him a lot of different looks. I mean, right now you have 8 guys at the line of scrimmage. You're backed up. You're trying to coordinate with the guard when to snap it.
I'm confused.
And the
all
center,
those arrows.
Some of those guys are coming, some of them are dropping. So I'm trying to work my 2-man concept over to the left. He doesn't even see McCourty. This is a pick 6 if Van Noy doesn't touch it. Literally goes in. You can see. Look at McCourty. He's just distraught because he knows he had an interception. And that's all based on what the confusion up front. And there's another situation, 3rd and 2, one of yours where you would like to go for it on 4th down if you don't get it. Man coverage, they followed him across. You can see Goff say, we're good, it's man coverage. We're all good. Let's run our crossers, our pick plays. Let's bring this motion back across and let's roll. He comes off the fake and it's zone coverage. They've now dropped 8 players into coverage and he has nowhere to throw the football. So it's 3rd and 2, throw it away, maybe go for it on 4th down, but he takes a big sack. And now you're 4th and 20. You can't go for it in that situation. So there are a lot of times where, like that one in particular, if he would have just thrown the ball away, maybe they can go for it on 4th and 2. I think Sean McVay probably would have in that situation. But there were some looks that they just confused Jared. He didn't know where to go with the football.
Well, Mike Giardi told us yesterday in a report from Boston that they had 2 defensive play calls every time they went out on the field, the New England Patriots. One for what they lined up as, and then another one for after the helmet clicked off, and they couldn't communicate with him anymore.
A lot of people have been doing that, and that happens, but Coach McVay gives Jared Goff 3 plays when he goes in. He says, get to this motion. You have a run play, a play action, and either a quick game or a down-the-field throw. And he just couldn't get into the right one. Again, credit to the Patriots defense and Brian Flores for putting in a game plan that showed a lot of man-to-man, and then in a situation where you thought it was man, dropped in the zone. I mean, they did a really good job, and there's not enough credit going to those guys for what they did. A lot of people are saying Bill Belichick, but when you're watching that sideline, Brian Flores was communicating with everyone on what to do. I think Bill brought the defense up one time and was like, all right, we got to do this. But other than that, Flores did everything. And that was a great game plan.
Yeah, that Patriots defense did a great job. Goff obviously has some things to work through. He's going to have to do it now with a brand new quarterbacks coach. Scott, his 4th in 4 years.
Yeah, you could call this the first departure in the offseason for the Rams. Quarterback coach Zach Taylor officially introduced as head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of the NFL just getting to know this guy. Taylor's 35 years old. He's never been a head coach, only been a coordinator for part of 1 season. Now he's the 10th head coach in Bengals franchise history. Our Randy Moss is in Cincinnati.
Zach Taylor acknowledged today that his new job won't be easy. The Bengals have suffered through 3 straight losing seasons, and last year the attendance here, 31st in the NFL, ahead of only the Chargers. Taylor said he plans to win the fans back one step at a time with a brand of offense very similar to what he just left with the Rams.
Well, it works. I think we can all agree. So it would be silly to not have that as the basis of what we do on offense. And but, I think it is important to bring in other coaches from other organizations that have different influences and have different backgrounds. And so we can make this the Cincinnati Bengals offense. But, yeah, that was a prolific offense that we were part of this year. And so I think it'd be silly to scrap that to the side. And so that'll be a big part of what we do.
And by the way, Taylor told me he does plan on calling his own plays. In hiring the 35-year-old Taylor, Bengals owner Mike Brown admitted he's following the NFL trend of hiring young, aggressive, open-minded offensive head coaches. And Taylor won't be the youngest head coach in the NFL. That will still be Sean McVay. But when Brown hired Marvin Lewis 16 years ago, Lewis then was 8.5 years older than Zach Taylor is today.
Years from now, when talking about Super Bowl 53, we'll talk